All right, 6 honest serving men. Their names are what, why, when, how, where, and who. What are we talking about? Memory in the failing brain. Why? Because it's the number one thing that makes you human. When? It starts for most people at 30 years old. How? With many mechanisms from the body to the brain, changes in blood flow and brain chemistry. Where? Brain, spinal cord, and throughout the body. To whom? Everybody. It is heterogeneous. What do I mean by heterogeneous? Some of you have dementia because you're losing attention and verbal memory. Some of you are losing working memory, and you're also losing attention for omissions. Some of you are losing emotional IQ in situations, and also losing some visual memory. So it happens in many different degrees. Some lose their keys, some lose their head, some do risky behaviors, some crash ski into a tree, some people that are getting pre-dementia drive their car off a cliff, some commit suicide, some are depressed, some are anxious. You say to yourself, are those really all pre-dementia? Virtually all are pre-dementia. They're all part of the cognitive decline that occurs between 40 and 80, which is why people can't go to medical school. Look at the third bullet. With the discovery of neurogenesis, regeneration of brain cells, the idea is that we can actually increase our intellectual capacity as we age, meaning grow smarter rather than stupider. When I went to med school, among the bright things that they told me, besides nutrition was meaningless and lead was safe and drugs were fabulous and hospitals are a wonderful place to die for $500,000 and who needs a rabbi or a priest, and that horse estrogen was good for a woman, even horse skin transplants. Why not? You're giving horse estrogen. Why not give her an entire horse's head? Anyway, those are the kinds of things we learned in medical school. And of course, I say those things tongue-in-cheek. They also told me that you can't grow new neurons, and DNA made RNA, but RNA couldn't make DNA. And thank God I never listened to anybody, because virtually the core paradigms of what they taught were wrong. Dementia takes 20 years to develop is the current standard view. I'm telling you it takes 40 years to develop. I'm telling you, if you look at this graph, this is conventional medicine. The black mark, if you go all the way to the end, black mark tells you basically the way that conventional medicine looks at things. They look all the way at the end of this graph. 30% are demented. That's nonsense. Here's the real story. The real story is, even this is too nice a story. This is too sweet news. The good news is we're going to reverse it. The bad news is, if you can look over there, is 50%, 50-50 by 85, you're either demented or cognitively impaired. By 70, I consider virtually everybody is really cognitively impaired. I'm going to tell you the real story. 70-year-old people are all cognitively impaired. All right, 60-year-old people are all cognitively impaired to some degree. And the impairment is diverse. It affects all these different things that I'll show you. It affects your attention, it affects your reaction time, it affects your judgment, it affects your choices and behaviors, from acting out with affairs to hurting your children in other ways. And Alzheimer's is going to be an epidemic, and mild cognitive impairment already is. And there's all sorts of attempts to diagnose it with a lot of different techniques. And I'm going to show you what I'm convinced is a definitive method by which you can diagnose your cognitive impairments and then have targeted repair. So you're going to be a targeted repair of your cognitive problems. And right now, nobody has a new standard yet, but we're going to introduce your new standard.